Welcome and thanks for joining the CaFÉ webinar. My name is Justine Chappell and I'm the Communications and Marketing Manager for CaFÉ. Today, I'll be going over all of the reports that you can download from CaFÉ and use while you manage your call and applications. Reports can help in numerous ways to organize your information and keep records of your events. With each report, I'll go through some tips and tricks for how to best use them. And if you're familiar with CaFÉ, a lot of this might not be super new to you, but hopefully you get some tips along the way and we'll learn something. So the key items that we'll cover today include downloading the events management reports, using the communication bounce and events data reports, and then downloading the income breakdown report. With that one, I'm also going to compare the income breakdown report with a sample entry fee remittance statement. So if you're someone that collects entry fees on CaFÉ, using the remittance statement and comparing it with your income breakdown report is something that might be useful to see. So the first set of reports that we're going to go over is the events management reports. These reports can help you take the applications offline, organize contact information, and keep track of the artwork. So to access these reports, we'll first log into CaFÉ, as we are right now. I'm logged in as an administrator, and I'm going to go to where I already am, but it's under events, and choose the management subtab. Then we'll get to this list where I can choose the call that we're going to be working with today. Next, you'll see the table of applications where the applications are stored into different statuses depending on where you are in your call process. So just select which status of applications you want to pull this report or pull this information from. For example, I can click on the received status to just load received statuses here. Or you can click on the View All section button here, and that will pull up every single application throughout all of the statuses. Whichever selection that you create, whether by creating the status or we'll talk about later searching with specific criteria or searching for a specific application, whichever report you download in this next step will contain the information just for those artists that are pulled up on the screen. So whichever set of applications you're looking at in this table, the report is going to reflect that. So once the applications that you want to receive the info from loads on the page here, you'll see the two options, download spreadsheet and download PDF. We're going to talk about all of the options underneath each button here. So under download spreadsheet, we have the contact information report, application answers, and media information. And under download PDF, we have applications and media inventory list. So I will go through each one and talk about what is included in the reports and some possible needs that you might have for them. Just know that when I mention or anyone at CaFÉ mentions events management reports, or if you're using our online help center and are needing information what we're talking about here, these are the reports. All of these are considered the events management reports, essentially taking information about your event into these either spreadsheet or PDF. So let's go through each of the reports and we'll talk about them and how you might be able to use them. So download spreadsheet or download XLXS. If you, this simply refers to the fact that all of these reports will download as a spreadsheet, and then obviously all of the PDFs will download as a PDF. So the first one that you can use is the contact information report. So I'm going to download this here. And depending on your browser or your computer, you might get the report in your downloads folder of your browser that you can open up in, or you have to go straight to your downloads folder. But as soon as you click that report name, it's going to immediately start downloading the report. So the contact information report, let's open this up here, and I'm going to switch my screen share. So this is the contact information report. This report will show the obviously contact information for the application. So we've got the application ID number, we have the date that the application was received, the artist ID number, which is just their unique account ID number in CaFÉ. Let me make this a little bit better to see. We've got the name, obviously, if they have any partners, they'll be listed here. You get their address with their city and state, zip code, all that stuff. You get their phone number, which is entered into their profile. The email as well. So if you need to pull all of the emails for your artist, this is where you would come. You would come and download the contact information report, and you can, copy and paste that information there. You'll also get, if they included their website on their profile, you'll get access to the website, Sometimes they have alternative mailing addresses and contact info, and you'll be provided that as well. You'll also get some information about their application. So, the status, the category. This is the specific categories I've set up for my call. So whichever one that you set up, if you do set up categories in your call, it'll be listed in this report. And then the waitlist and booth number can be disregarded because that's for a different system of ours. And tags and flags will just show you if their account has been tagged, it'll show the name of the tag. And if their account has been flagged, it'll give you a 1. If it's not flagged, it'll give you a 0. So that's the basics of the report. And then, this one is more dedicated to the contact information for the artist. And you'll see we do have duplicates because in this particular call, we accepted applications for individual pieces of artwork. And so I have multiples of different artists because every application they submitted or every artwork they submitted got separated into a separate application. And therefore I have, it's showing every application, the names and everything like that. So you would just need to deduplicate this list if you needed the list of unique emails or names or anything like that. So again, that's the contact information report, and this can be used to, quickly grab the emails to be able to contact everyone, or if you just need to pull a record of folks that have applied. This can also be used if you want to go back to an archived call in CaFÉ, and maybe you want to reach out to those batch of artists that maybe didn't get in, or if they did get in, maybe you just pull everyone and pull their information so that you can send an email letting them know that your current application is available and if they want to apply to again. So that's a common way of using this report for an older call in your account. So let's go back to CaFÉ here, and I will go show you the next report. We're going to be bouncing around a lot here, so stay with me. The next one is the applications answer report. Let's open that one up. And again, I will switch that over. Okay, so application report. It also gives you the artist's basic info, email, stuff like that, but it also lists their answers to the custom form questions that you created in CaFÉ. So when you come into here, if you created any questions on your application, it's hard to kind of really see here, but in this application, we ask questions are, if they're a member, do they have any, I think this is like dietary restrictions for like the reception or something. It's just a demo call, but how did you hear about us? Some things like that. You can see not everyone has an answer. That's because some of the applications might not have been required to answer all the questions. But this is how you can pull those answers. So this is a really great way to, pull those things. Maybe you need to get a list of all the members that applied versus non-members. If you ask that question on your application, you can get that list very quickly. You might also need to pull artist statements. So here is where if you activated the artist statement option in CaFÉ to collect those, you would then be able to come here and pull that artist statement from the report, or maybe you just need to do it in batches where you're pulling everyone's at once, and you can download the application answer spreadsheet to easily get that information. So just to compare here, although I won't be able to show you both at one time, but let's just show you what the application looks like. So this is an individual application, and what I'm talking about here on the report is the form answers section. So all of these answers here, and then the artist statement. That's what's pulled into the applications report. The only exception is if you created a question on your application that requires artists to upload a file, maybe upload their headshot or resume or some other file, you can access that here. I don't have an example here, but this is where you would come to download that file. It would give you an option, download file, but it was not going to appear in the application answers report. We don't yet have the ability, although we are hoping to develop that very soon, the ability to bulk download all those documents that artists upload into these individual answers. But we don't yet have that available. This is all unrelated to the media that they upload, which can be the artwork, images, or video or audio files. I'm just talking about individual documents that they have to upload into their application. So that's the application answers report. Next, I'm going to show you the media information. So let's take a look at that one. I'll open that up here. All right, so this is the media information report. Again, you get the artist's basic first and last name, you get the status of their application, application ID, all that kind of stuff. But this one is going to show you all the information that an artist uploads about the images that they are submitting. So here we have the title, we have the medium, height, width, depth, we have whether or not it's for sale and the value or price they associated with it. There's also the description that the artist uploads for that specific image, and the year created, discipline, stuff like that. So all of this information, and at the end, you see we also have some contact information as well. So it's always provided there. But the media information report, this is really helpful for creating, maybe you have title cards that are going to go up with your show. You're putting together those labels and you want to quickly get that text without going into each individual's application. You would just come and pull this report, and that would allow you to get that text really quickly. So, if you're going to pull down the titles for everything, you can do that there. Pretty self-explanatory. Let me switch back to CaFÉ here. And I'll just show you as well in the application how this info matches up with the individual artwork. If I click on the sample here, this is the information that was pulled into the report. So it has the title, again, the medium, dimensions, all that other info. So that's what's pulling into that report. Let's move on to the PDF reports. And again, I'm just kind of pulling them for all of the applications, but I'll show you a little bit how this could be useful to pull individual applications. But first, the download PDF options, you can have applications and media inventory list. The applications PDF you can download as, for a juror or administrator. Basically, if you download this for a juror, that will remove or will basically keep the settings that you have in your jury, meaning whether or not the artist name should be hidden, whether or not any other information from their application should be hidden. Any of the settings that you set up in your jury administration page will apply when you click the jury option, so that the PDF already can take that information out. If you're just an administrator and you don't care about hiding certain information, you can download the PDF as an administrator, but you can also have that additional option to remove the contact information for the artist to ensure that their info is removed. But I'm just going to click this as an administrator. Again, depending on your device, this is going to download directly to your browser or directly to your download folder. This one's taking a little bit longer to load because we do have several applications in this report. Sometimes if your report is too big, let's say you're downloading this report for hundreds of applications at once, you may get a notice on CaFÉ here that says you will be emailed with the report when it's ready. That way you don't have to wait on this page for it to load. It's going to send you the email to the email associated with your CaFÉ account here. And that way you can, move on with your business and wait till it's downloaded. And it'll download straight from your email that you receive. In this case, I'm ready here and I'm going to open this up. So the applications PDF is basically going to be the same view of the application. Let's again pull that one up. I'm going to go back to our page here. It's going to be same information as we're viewing it here on the CaFÉ site, but it's going to show it in a PDF form. So artist information at the top. This is the name here, even though it's a demo artist account. That's why it says CaFÉ admin, but this is where the name would appear. We have the contact information, those answers to those questions, artist statement, a little thumbnail of the image so you can see what it looks like, and the artwork details. Once that application has finished, it might be on one page, it might be on two, depending on how many questions you have. It'll go to the next one. So it'll just be a list of all of the applications in a PDF form. This report is nice if you are reviewing applications offline. Maybe you just want to not be connected to the internet and take a look at the PDF and just kind of go through for either eligibility concerns or application questions. This also could be useful for jurors if they want to score things offline as well. Maybe they want to review the applications on paper and look at the images, on a separate screen or something like that. They can have this in paper format or PDF format, but still on their device. So many different uses for this. The other use that you can use is maybe an artist requests a copy of their application. This is something that you can provide for them if they request a copy. They have the ability to review applications in their CaFÉ account on their profile, but they might want this PDF form. In which case, what you would do is you would go to the events management page and you would search for the artist first. So let's say I'll search my own name since I replied here. I've got multiple applications here. Let's say I just wanted one of these applications, regardless of if I have submitted multiple art samples. I'm going to now, whoops, I accidentally clicked on it. I'm going to copy this application ID number, which again, I just did that. I'll copy it from this page since that's a clickable thing. I'm going to go back here and now I'm going to search by application ID number because what I want to do is I want to make these results just have this one application. In a case where there's not multiple of the same artist applying, you could probably just search their name and just pull up the one. But in this case, I just have the application ID number so that the one can be appear here. Then I can click download PDF and click applications. I'm going to say administrator and I'll open it up. And now this is just one file that contains one application and I can send this file to the artist. So this is one way if you need to download an individual application PDF. All right. The next report that I'll go over is the last of our events management reports, and that's the PDF. Let me get our applications up here again. Actually need to reset filters, view all. Great. The media inventory list is a PDF of the media that is submitted to the call. And it basically is the same as the media information spreadsheet with all the artwork details, but obviously it's in PDF form. And in this scenario, you get the thumbnail images of the artwork. So this is really helpful if you're hanging a show or maybe you're having works delivered to the gallery for the exhibit. What you can do is print out this piece of paper, and this allows you to, quickly check off the artwork as it comes in. You could download it just for the invited status, perhaps, and you can, as they're coming in, being accepted, you can check off these individual pieces of artwork, and you have that visual reference here to be able to do that. Some also like to use this when they're making their labels. Maybe if you're just going through the show and verifying that all the labels are correct and printed correctly with the right information, you can also use this to have that reference at the ready. So again, you can download this for any of the statuses that you need, and it'll have that batch of applications that you've selected on the events management table here. All right, so those are the events management reports. Again, we've got those spreadsheets and PDFs so you can use for whatever you need. The next reports I want to talk about are in the reports tab. So obviously these ones were not in the reports tab because they're for individual applications, but this one, all the other ones are on the panel on the left in the menu. The first one we'll talk about is the communication bounce report. So I'll click on that. This report will help you if you need to check to see if any messages sent through CaFÉ were bounced or not delivered. These emails include any time you send an individual artist an email through CaFÉ or any time you send an email through the events communication section. This page, what you'll do is you'll select either the event that you're concerned about with a notification for, or you can just select all of them. That would just pull up all the communications that you sent during the time frame that we're given here. I'm just going to choose a couple here. So you'll select the events that you want to run the report for and then create your date range. So if you know exactly when you sent the specific email that you're checking on, you can just put in that date, or you can put in a whole time frame to pull up how many emails were bounced in the last month or so. I'm going to go through to the last year just so I can have plenty of examples to show you. So once you put in the date range, you can click Run Report. Before I do that, what I'm going to show you is that once I click Run Report, if no bounces were reported, you'll see this message, no reports found. That means that none of the emails you sent out through CaFÉ were bounced or undelivered. But keep in mind that that would not mean that every artist actually received the email because, as with any emailing system, some folks have filters or other settings set up that may affect their email. So if you see no bounces reported, that means the CaFÉ system did not run into any issues delivering the specific message, but it could be non-delivered to an artist or it could be not received by the artist for several reasons, including full mailboxes, issues with the artist email provider, or if an artist closed that email account, obviously. But if it does run any results, you'll see that in this report here. So I'm going to click Run Report. And so this is what it would look like if certain emails were bounced. So you'd get the specific email that were bounced, the artist it was sent to, the subject of the email you sent, their email address, and it'll give you the error summary. So the error summary, without going too far into specific technical things here, it'll give you an error, an information about why the artist did not receive the email. And most of the time it's going to say it's on a suppression list. That just means that the Amazon provider we used is holding the email and or is preventing the email address from receiving the email that you're sending. And that can be for multiple reasons. So in this case, why you're seeing results in my little demo thing here is because we have old email addresses used by previous staff members. So those emails aren't actually set up. That's why you're getting the report. In this case, it's an incorrect email, so you can take a look here. And for me, I just know that this email does not look right, in which case I could troubleshoot that and be able to resend the email. So sometimes you have to click on the details to determine the full reason. You can click to see the full message. And in any case, if you do receive any reports here, what you can do is try to contact the artist either through their phone number in their application or trying to troubleshoot their email address, and you can try to get that original email out to them. You can also reach out to the CaFÉ team, because if both you and the artist are reporting not being able to receive emails, we can help you troubleshoot why that email might not be receiving the message and help remove it from the suppression list. So this is just helpful to see as you're sending emails through CaFÉ why you might not be getting, or if you have any bounces. You can also download the CSV file of the report too, the spreadsheet if you want. All right, so the next report is the events management report. So again, under reports or events data report. The events data report is helpful because it's basically a quick view report that tells you how many artists, entries, and work samples per media type your call received. So it's a pretty simple report. All you have to do is select the call that you want to run the report for, and it will display with the appropriate numbers of applications, images, videos, audio. I can pull up some other ones, hopefully that received ones, and it'll just kind of give you that at a glance view of those statistics. This just might save you time if you're curious how many people applied or with how many work samples. You can also look at this info for any past archived calls to see that information. Maybe you want to figure out if you need to accept video or audio samples for your next call, but you weren't sure if many artists actually submitted them in the past. Without going to the events, application report and looking at all of the applications, you can just quickly come here and say, oh yeah, someone did submit an audio or someone did submit video. That helps you kind of just understand previous applications. I will clarify here that number of videos means number of videos that were directly uploaded as a file to CaFÉ, whereas video links mean that the artist submitted a YouTube or Vimeo link to the video. And so that's why they're separated out into different format types. Same with the audio, either if it's an actual audio file or if it's just a link to the audio file somewhere else on the internet. So that's the events data report. Those are pretty simple reports to be able to look at. The next one that we'll go over is the income breakdown report. So the income breakdown report is an itemized list of artists' purchase transactions with dates, fee types, and will also list if coupons were used. Having this report can be important to have if you want to verify anyone's transaction or review how many entry fee revenue your call is collecting, or maybe you just want this report for general bookkeeping. Again, you can find this under the Reports tab in the menu and just click on Income Breakdown. Once you're on this page, you'll first select the date range for the data that you want to pull into the report. So let's just pull it for year to date in this case. So I'll put in the start date and the end date is today. Maybe you want to run the report for the whole entire 2023 year, so you can do that. And we'll talk about how you can also pull this report for the month prior to be able to compare this with your remittance statement that you might receive if you collect entry fees on CaFÉ. So set the date range here. Then you will have some filter options to be able to customize the report a little bit more. You have the option to hide all checks, hide all credit cards, hide $0 transactions, and then showing all refunds. So if you want a report that just includes the credit card income, because that's the income that we will, as CaFÉ, remit to you once it's collected through us, you want to hide all the checks because artists are instructed to send direct checks directly to you. So you wouldn't want the report to reflect income that is not being sent from CaFÉ. So you would hide the checks. You could hide all credit cards if you wanted to just show the check payments. That just helps to be able to pull a list of checks that you need to receive. And then if your call does not charge an entry fee, or maybe you have a coupon that allows you to discount the fee 100% so that it's free for someone, you want to make sure you uncheck the hide all $0 transaction because it's going to be default to check. Just uncheck that, and that would make sure that and shows you the transactions so that you know an artist submitted their application or they click checkout. Even if it was free, they still have to complete the checkout process in CaFÉ. So it would come into this report as well, as long as you make sure that hide all $0 transaction is deselected. And then if you just want to show the refunds, you can show refunds. If you want to make sure refunds are included in the entire report, you can click show all refunds. And this would be reports of refunds that the CaFÉ team processed on your behalf for the artist. Maybe you refunded an artist on your own, that's fine. It's just not going to show up here. But any of the refunds that the CaFÉ team processes for you will be in the report as well. The next two options, hide all active calls and hide all archived calls. This is simply filtering the list in the next step, which is this choose calls list. So we have the list of active calls under this account here, but if I were to deselect archived calls, now I have a few more to choose from that older calls. So maybe you need to go back in time and pull a report from a previous call that's archived. Just make sure you deselect to hide all archived calls so that you can find it in this list. Again, then the next step is to check the boxes for the reports that you want to run. So I'm just going to pull some recent ones to make sure we have some actual ones to show you, actual reports to show you here. The next two options you have is to download the report only, meaning once I check this box and click run report, it's going to immediately download the spreadsheet to my computer. I'm not going to see it on CaFÉ here at all. It's just going to download that file. If I click email report, it's going to skip the download process. It's going to skip the showing on CaFÉ process and instead going to email you when the report is ready to download. And so you can download that from your email. This is nice for those larger reports. If you know that you have hundreds and hundreds of transactions that you're pulling a report for, you can choose it to email you so that you're not sitting on this page while it loads and loads and loads. You can just have it emailed to you. In this case, I'm going to deselect both so that I can show you the report on the page itself. So I'll click Run Report. I'm going to warn you here that this is going to be slightly, I want to deselect that to show more. Slightly underwhelming because these demo reports don't have any actual real purchases, but I'm going to show you a downloaded version in a little bit here when we compare it to the remittance statement so you can have actual numbers to kind of look at. But I'm just going to show you around the report itself. So when you download it, again, you'll see basically every transaction is separated by the gray and white lines. So we have basically 2 rows of information per transaction that it's showing you. I'm just going to go through each of these so that we can define all of the different elements of this report. And hopefully it's not too self-explanatory, but first we have the transaction ID. This is the ID number that CaFÉ assigns to the transaction. It's mostly used internally by the staff in order to differentiate certain transactions. And it's actually a different transaction ID number than the one that the payment processor uses, the credit card payment processor uses. So this can be helpful to reference with the artist application. It'll be on the application itself or with one of our staff members. Other than that, the transaction ID might not be very useful. Transaction date, is pretty obvious. So it's the date that the transaction was made. And so this is the time that the artist clicked submit, clicked checkout, and submitted their application. So this is nice to have that timestamp of when exactly did the artist submit their application. It also shows on the application itself, but this is helpful so that you can see, all right, this artist, submitted it 2 minutes before the deadline or something, but they still got in. So you can see that there. The purchaser is the artist or artist account that purchased the product, that purchased the application fee. Again, we have the amount. So this would be the total amount the artist paid. Then we have the credit card fee and the net amount. So this is showing by individual transaction the amount they paid, how much was taken out in that 3.25% credit card fee, and then the net amount that you would receive. The description will be listed for each of the products. So this is showing that for this particular call, we charged an entry fee, and this person selected the entry fee, and then they used a coupon with 100% discount, obviously, because this is a test submission. The details account or details section, this is going to be helpful if you need to troubleshoot payment information or if you need to request a refund from the CaFÉ team. Under here, you'll get the approval code. The approval code is actually what is the transaction ID number for that payment in the credit card processor. So right now, we're seeing one for a free transaction because this was a $0 transaction. But if it was a credit card, you would see an actual approval code here. And that's the code that the CaFÉ team needs to process a payment. So if you're filling out the refund form, there's a form to fill out if you're requesting a refund. Then we ask for a transaction ID number or a transaction code or an approval code. That's the code. This is where you come to find that code. So the PREF number 2 is kind of another one that's not typically used. You can kind of ignore that, but the payment processor might have a specific number that it assigns here. The licensee, that's just the name of your specific account in CaFÉ, so it should be just the name of your organization, and it helps you kind of keep track here. And then again, in this section here, it'll show the call that this transaction was applied to. You also see the quantity here. Sometimes you might have the separation between an entry fee and a media fee, in which case it would show you how many entry fees were purchased, should just be one, and then how many media fees were purchased could be up to as however many artwork samples you're accepting. So media fees are charged per additional work sample above the minimum, so it might have multiple quantities in this report. Then the bottom of the report, again, it's going to be underwhelming because it's all 0, but it'll show you the income for the period and the income breakdown per event. So for the date range that I set for the report, it'll tell you how many transactions were done, how much money was collected overall, and then the credit card fee total overall, so the 3.25%, and then the net amount. The net amount is what you would be receiving from CaFÉ after that credit card fee is removed. Credit would tell you, how much was purchased with a credit card, how much was purchased with checks, and pending means how much was purchased with a check payment that you have not received yet. So when you first come in here, you most likely should see it under pending, but when you receive check payments, you have to mark their check payment as received in the applications list, and that's where you do that. I'm actually just going to I'll bounce over to show you what that looks like. So if you're to receive a check payment, it should go into the awaiting payment by check. Actually, I need to go to a different one here. Awaiting payment by check status. Once you receive that check, this is where you'd come and change it from pending to received. So you'd find that artist in your list and you would change the check status to received. That's if you really are particular about your check payments. Otherwise, you can do your own method of organization. Maybe you don't even accept check payments anymore, which is probably best anyway, but that's how you do that. But back to the report. I'm just going to download this again. Let's see here. So that one again. I just wanted to show you again, the very bottom of the report will show you the breakdown per call, how much is each call receiving and what that looks like. So you would also see if anything looks like this, that's a refund. So if we process any refunds, they would appear here as a negative amount. I will show you now what a sample income breakdown report looks like from a different non-test client on CaFÉ. Obviously, some of the information is protected, but take a look at this income for the period, and we'll talk about, the credit card fee total and the net amount. So here is a spreadsheet that we pulled of a real income breakdown report so that you can see what it looks like. And this is what the report would look like if you download it in a spreadsheet form. So when you go into the report on here, you can click download spreadsheet, or maybe you had it emailed to you. This is what it's going to look like when you get it into the, Google Sheets or whatever that you're using. So it's going to show you a breakdown of every transaction, entry fees versus media fees, whatever fees that you have set up for your call are going to appear here, and it'll show the cost, quantity, all that stuff. And it'll show you the, again, the payment type that was used, the transaction information, approval codes, all that stuff here. So at the bottom, this is showing that, total collected, the credit card fees that were removed, and then the net amount. So those are the totals you should see on the CaFÉ page as well. So that's what it looks like for the spreadsheet format. Next, I want to talk about how to compare this with the remittance statements that you might receive if you collect entry fees in CaFÉ. So if you don't collect entry fees, this won't apply to you, but still might be, interesting to look at. So if you collect entry fees in CaFÉ, our finance team will assess your account. And if you collected entry fees in the month prior, so let's say, we're currently in March, you should have received about a week ago your remittance for February 1st to the 29th. So they'll assess those fees for the previous month and prepare those funds to be paid out for you. We also assess any fees owed to CaFÉ for credit card transactions. Again, there's that fee and the per application fees. We might also assess CaFÉ service fees owed to us, such as the fee that you paid to list your call. If you elect to have that fee auto deducted from the revenue you receive, it'll be reflected in that remittance. So when we reconcile your account and prepare the remaining funds to send to you, either via electronic funds transfer or a check, we'll prepare your remittance statement. So this statement, it looks like this. The statement lists the fees you collected for the month prior and lists any of the additional expenses that were taken out. So sometimes folks come to us and ask if this info can be tracked in CaFÉ, but right now it's not tracked in CaFÉ. It's only sent through this PDF report that is emailed to you. So the income breakdown report only shows the revenue you're taking in, but this report will show not only the revenue you're taking in, but any fees that are being taken out. So this report here can actually be compared with the spreadsheet we have here. And I'm just going to kind of show you a couple things. So let's say I received this remittance statement for, this is actually for the month of January. You can see here it's January. And I want to compare it with my income breakdown report for January. So pretending this is the same account, what I would come here, come here and run the report just for January. So we could see all of the transactions for January. I would make sure I hide check payments. I would hide $0 transactions, and I would choose the calls. I would choose all of the calls that were running in January. So any of the calls that you were collecting fees from, I would choose all of them from this list. Then I would run the report or download it. And that's, let's say, this report here. So now I'm looking at the report and I can see everything that I took in. And I can say, okay, I got a little over $1,000 in income. They took out the credit card fee that is shown in the income breakdown report. So I should be receiving $986.77. Looking at the report, though, you can see that that's not the same total, and that's because we have this one fee that was owed to CaFÉ, and that's for the call itself. So this particular client elected to have their fee for the call, $250, deducted from the amount that they're taking in, and that's why it's reflected here. So you'll see that, the net amount we have here minus $250 is this amount here. So that's how you can compare the two reports. You might not have anything deducted because you're in the middle of your run and you've already paid your first, fee for the call. So anything that you collect minus those credit card fees will be given to you. Then at the end of your call run, we might assess the per application fees. So if you're on one of the plans where you are charged $2 per application, once your call closes, we'll assess how many applications you received, calculate $2 per application, and then take that money out of the last remittance that you are given after your deadline. So that's what you might also see on your statement. It'll say per application fee or something like that, and that will be taken off as well. If you're on a plan where you accept up to 250 applications before that $2 per application fee is being charged, then you would only receive that fee if you accepted more than 250 applications. So if you have any questions about specific fees or your remittance statement, you can always reach out to our team and we can help dissect that for you. But this is just kind of how to look at the statement in comparison to your income breakdown report. This concludes our webinar for how to use reports on CaFÉ. I hope you learned some helpful tips and maybe discovered a new or more efficient way of accessing information that you didn't know before. Thanks again for joining us.